Okay, well, we can go ahead and start with the concept art since you guys already went ahead and posted your pictures. So
Mm.
Shervin, you were thinking for your model you were gonna look at adding goggles. Anything else?
Uh,
Dog petting
uh,
arm.
'Cause I was gonna like have him or them have no arms, cause uh maybe he's able to detach both arms, and the arms are kind of a collectible thing. Where like, oh, you got one like instead of the guns, you got different arms.
That's a cool idea. I like that.
Maybe
Uh,
the arms also have guns.
yeah, but like we gotta have the dog petting thing. So, hmm,
I like the idea of like the mask in the second portrait picture.
yeah.
The 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 area right above their legs. I don't want to call it their crotch, but it's like their hip area.
Pelvis.
Yeah, pelvis area. Um, what's the just what is it?
Uh, where the
Like is that like
legs.
oh so that's like a robotic pelvis?
It's a ball joint, so they can move the leg in different directions. I just don't know how to draw it, so.
Oh, okay. I just wanted to know if it was pants or like a skirt design or
Yeah,
something.
I'm thinking like the whole body is like a robotic, except for like their face and that one arm.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're wearing like a cloak or something to kind of hide that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. How old did we want the character to be?
I didn't have any specific ideas on that one.
Cool.
I
Mm,
do agree about the hair though. We could add something to make it a little more mad scientisty. I think the goggles might do that though.
true.
Yeah, I
'Cause,
didn't want too much for the hair. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to be an old man to be good with science. You could be a young girl with some like experiments going on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like if they're running around chasing after their dog, their hair would probably get like something would happen to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, I think you're on the right track there then. Any other feedback we can give you to help?
Um, should I do like just this one character or
I think to
should
start, we
the
probably only need one,
okay.
unless you're enjoying it.
I
Yeah,
am.
this is the head of modeling. Please, no more humans.
Animating's gonna be a pain in the butt.
I tried to not make it too much, and I tried to make the hair like I want the hair just to be like a block. I didn't want like too much.
It can still be like frizz, not frizzed, but like have like you can make it spiky. I don't know. It could do stuff without having it be like super flowy, difficult for the animators. I think the only thing so far for the animators would be the cape.
Yeah, some sort of like soft body physics, like pretending it's cloth. Yeah, you might be right on that one.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
We can always take it out or add it back in later.
Okay.
But don't let that impact your designs. Like, try and fit the character to the style that we're going for, and then we can figure out if that
Yeah.
makes it too difficult to make later.
Okay.
Alrighty, on to. Did you work on anything else by the way this week, Shavine?
Nope.
Okay, I wasn't expecting more. I was just curious.
Okay.
Okay, Marla, on to your. Oh, I'm screen sharing by the way, so we can look at the same thing by the way.
Oh,
So are we looking at like buildings that we can kind of pick and choose from?
Yeah, so for this, I was just trying to get the kind of what the style of the buildings would be in. So this would be like one example of like a generic type of building, where it incorporates the some like the more steampunky elements with like the shingle roofs, along with like the bright neon lights of like cyberpunk cities.
Yeah, and I like how it has like the pipes and whatnot. Like it's like a nice blend between the two.
Hmm. And like my inspiration, one of them was like a floating city,
Hmm.
and it's like maybe that can be in like the background somewhere, or it can be like its own level.
It would be cool to be able to have to like hop to that district if that's a district.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't really have any criticism on this. It's great. I'd be interested to see what it looks like when it's modeled or if it's higher fidelity.
Hmm.
I feel like almost all of our buildings we want some way to be able to like jump up on top of them, but the building itself doesn't necessarily have to include that. We could have like boxes next to it that would allow you to like get to the second floor and then you could jump on the roof or whatnot.
Yeah, like there could be like So I noticed in like cities, there's like a lot of like what's it called? The air conditioning boxes
Hmm.
outside of like windows. So that's like one idea we could use for those.
Yeah, I can see it in the bottom right picture here.
Hmm.
Anybody have any other feedback on the buildings? I think the only thing we need is just more of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um.
But it's good to get a start on these before we send you off to do a bunch of them and you have to make a bunch of changes.
Yeah. I'm gonna say. Oh yeah. So I know like what type of thing to draw. So is the first district like the more simple cyberpunk? Like nothing like too. It's just like the city.
So yeah, I was well, we'll get to this when I'm talking about the work that I did this week. Um,
Oh, okay.
but yeah, so I'll get on that in just a second. So that might be the most useful thing for you to talk about when we get there.
Hmm.
Um, on to the portals. We could take the simple approach and just change the color for now. Just do like 3 and 4 or 5 and 6. 'Cause I think we want to stray away from the portal, right? Like we don't want to do 1 and 2.
Yeah, that was like the way the action the from the Portal games.
Yep,
I wasn't planning on like using that, but to show the contrast.
yep.
Um, yeah,
I
I think
like both
three and
3 and 4.
4.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, long term, I think C would be actually awesome. I think it'd be super cool.
Yeah, I think I like C the most.
For next week, I can do like more different types of designs for C, like different iterations of it,
Yeah, that'd
and
be
then we
awesome.
can see nail one down.
Perfect. Okay. Mache, what'd you do this week, buddy?
Um, Not much.
I saw the Steam
I was
integration.
pretty, yeah, I was pretty busy, but I mean, I did that with the Steam integration, and I got some errors when I tried to actually uh, implement it locally. So I got like an error that this teamwork. I think there's a special class that like it's the main class of the package,
Yeah,
and
it's called Steam Manager.
yeah, and it was like it. I couldn't find the namespace for it. Like it didn't exist. And that was the error mainly, and I couldn't figure it out. So yeah,
Okay. I'll help you take a look at that this week then.
yeah, and also I checked that in order to use the Steamworks .NET, we need to have the basically have it all set up with Steam. So fill the paperwork and all this stuff.
Yep. 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 Yep.
Yeah.
Um. Perfect. So we can you and I can chat about that later this week. I have an idea on how we can handle it on the Steam side.
Okay.
I suppose I can go next. So I was a giant dumbass, and I had a level laid out, and I changed branches and didn't bring my changes, so they got deleted.
Oh.
On the upside, I still remember what the idea was, so we can kind of talk it out. And it was nothing special. I just laid out like orange walls just to like box it out, so it had like an idea of what you guys were looking for. So what I was thinking is that like the first initial scene is that the like owner of the dog like finishes like tinkering with them and they mess something up, like they're in like the basement of like a house or like they're in their apartment or something, and they're like in their lab, right? So you have like a bunch of lab equipment and whatnot, and then your dog like runs up the stairs and runs out of the building and like teleports away, and then it like sends like a highlight down the street showing you where to go find your dog because you have like a I don't know, like a microchip or something on the dog. um so that was as far as I got on like trying to actually design the level and fit the story into it. And I wanted to talk about like what you guys were thinking for the like beginning of the story, like how this all gets started.
I really like the idea of like the tracker that helps you guide, like that helps guide your way.
Yeah,
Helps guide you through the thing.
I'm thinking either some sort of visual thing that like highlights the dog through walls, or it gives you like a 2D map that you can look at that kind of shows you where you need to go.
Hmm.
I I like both ideas. I like the 2D visual map because it gives you almost like a mini map, so you kind of have an idea of what the layout of the land looks like. Um, a downside, which could be an upside, is that if there's a building and it has a main floor, a second floor, and a roof, and the tracker is only in 2D, it won't really show you which floor the dog is on. But I think that makes it so that you almost have to go find it. It doesn't just give it away to you.
Mhm.
But if you have the visuals through the walls, you know where you need to go, and we can get more complex about how they need to get there. Um, so feedback on that would be appreciated.
I think um like the 2D map idea. I also like the viewing through the walls, but that might get confusing in sections where you have to go somewhere completely different to get to that side of the wall. Or it might not be confusing and I'm just stupid. But yeah.
So I think between did you guys see that video that Austin posted earlier this week?
Mm.
He put like the high definition render pipeline in, which basically he added like neon lights and like what
Oh
other
yeah,
thing?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think using the context clues of like he had like spotlights that kind of look like street lamps. If we use those to kind of point the player, we can be a little bit more vague about where they have to go because they can use the lighting and the
Hmm.
context clues that they get to go.
Okay, yeah, that works.
Because I don't want to hold the player's hand, but I also don't want them to get frustrated and quit the game because they don't know where to go. So if we give them only the 2D map, but we give them some context clues, I think that will fill in the blanks.
Yeah, I think that works.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna add to the meeting notes and basically say what you did this week and what you're gonna do next week, so we have some notes. So that way, if you forget what you were doing, you have a reminder. So Sherveen worked on the character illustration. Um, going to add goggles to the player.
Oh, I just did. I just
Oh.
finished it.
um,
I can do the dogs next. But like, I should probably do like a full rendering of the character.
we'll look into the dogs next and making a high fidelity model. Sound good?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, I added
Perfect. Those look
goggles.
those look awesome. I like how you added the circles on the hips, so it looks more like a ball joint.
Mhm.
And I can send you some
Yeah.
like engineering pictures to show you how those look.
Okay.
For Marla, we'll get to that in a second. I'm thinking more buildings.
Yeah.
And iterate on Portal C. Mache, needs help with Steam issues. And then for me, continue level design. Okay, so um, for the level design, I think what might help Marla is for me to like do what I was doing earlier and kind of gray box out the level or white
Mhm.
box, gray box. Basically, give you a very low fidelity model to work with, and send you some screenshots. Basically, all I had was like a basement with a ramp leading up to the main floor. You walk up into the main floor, it's just like an empty house, and then you walk out the front door, and it was onto a street. Um, After that, I assume you'd be in like a suburban area or a really. I think it would be cool to almost walk out to what Austin was talking about earlier about like a super the tall like maybe you're in like a downtown studio like apartment. And you
Mhm.
walk out and everything's super tall around you, and that like kind of keeps you on the path, right? So you can't like go look to like jump up on top of buildings. You have to walk down the street to kind of go figure out where you need to go, right?
Mhm.
So that's I think that's kind of what I'm going to play with next. Is kind of um, so when they first start, like the goal is to introduce mechanics to them slowly. So when they first start, they'll be able to look and move around, right? They won't need to worry about jumping. They'll just be walking out of their apartment. And then maybe when they get out of their apartment, they see their dog up on top of a roof of a building across the street, and they have to go figure out how to jump up on top of that building.
Okay. Got
Uh,
it.
and then the rest of this district will be using those hopping techniques. Like maybe once they get on top of one building, the dog keeps going higher and higher and higher, and then when you get to like the top of a skyscraper, that's where you find your portal arm,
Ooh.
and then
Okay.
you use
So
sorry, go ahead.
yeah, so it starts in the basement,
Hmm.
and then it goes out into an urban setting.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll work on designing like urban buildings first.
Okay.
And then I imagine after that is when you get into like the big city.
Yep. We may want to start out like thinking of it like a suburb, so that way it's not like a ton of detail right away, but that's up
Hmm.
for discussion.
Also, yeah, I meant to say suburb before. I don't know. I don't know my cities.
Austin, what'd you do this week, bud? If you aren't busy at work.
He's got to swallow his mac and cheese.
Yeah. So we can just operate under the assumption that he's busy. Um, so it sounds like all of us have things to do. I feel like the biggest thing that needs to happen is me to kind of um, play with that original setting and feel or figure out what the feel we're going for is right off the bat, and that'll help us a lot.
Hmm.
Um, Anything else you guys need to discuss that would be helpful?
Are
Um,
we only doing corgis?
What's that?
Are we only doing corgis for dog, or can it be other breeds?
It can be other breeds. The dog that I got the idea from, Jax, he's actually a husky.
Oh, okay.
So whatever model I guess sparks inspiration for you works.
Okay.
Or if you want to draw up a couple different ones, that works too.
And the dogs should match the setting that they're in, right? Like yeah.
What do you mean?
yeah, it's like a little. Is it a cyborg puppy?
No,
Or
like isn't it every district you get a new dog?
I believe what we talked about last time was two different options. You went around and found puppies, or you went around and found parts to build the like mechanic. Like you find a portal gun, like parts to a portal gun in the first district. And I think that's what
Oh,
we settled on, but I could be wrong.
I think so.
okay.
And all the puppies, I assume, would be the part of the same like
Gender or breed, sorry.
yeah breed.
Yeah. So
Oh, okay.
so I'm thinking like at the beginning of the game you get to pick like a skin or the breed of your dog, right? And then all the puppies that you find throughout the game, they're kind of like an Easter egg, right? Like if you happen to find this cool spot, there'll be like a puppy at like I don't know in a clock tower or something that has nothing to do with the story, but they're kind of like a collectible almost, which sounds awful to say.
Okay.
So basically, it would just be like you'd like if you're doing just a corgi, you just need a big corgi and a small corgi, and you could literally just scale them down. So you wouldn't have to do double work there.
Okay.
Mm. I really like the legs that you did for the character. For the the bottom of the legs. I was just curious if they were skates or if it was like
Yeah,
wow.
the skates kind of.
Ooh.
I kind of like that her parts are like replaceable. So like for bunny hopping, maybe you add like springs in the knee joints, and then when we get to like
Oh,
surfing, then you add like roller skates for the feet.
Mm-hmm.
oh, that's cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
this.
because in the knees you have like those little like cogs and things.
Hmm.
So it'd be really cool with like the upgrades to change them for other things that help.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of thinking of that just to um, you can kind of customize their body.
True cyberpunk.
Because like if we are in the future and you're a cyborg, you kind of get to pick your body parts, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I assume like the function of them or like the look of them has to fit the function of like the current district that you're in.
Yeah. But I kind of need to know what the thing is. Like I know we're doing like hopping, which
Hmm.
is like springs and stuff. But is there other ones?
So there'd be hopping, surfing, and portals, right? To start. And then we can think about other mechanics, but those are the three core ones.
Portals?
The
Wouldn't
parts would
that
be
be?
with the arms, no?
Yeah, I assume that you'd like put your hand out in front of you and I don't know, some sort of animation would happen that allows you to create a portal.
Oh, it can just be the dog petting arm.
That works.
Mm-hmm.
You can almost put like the like I'm kind of thinking like Iron Man, how he has like the lights in his hand, you know?
Yeah.
Hmm. Oh, those
Mm. It's good that the
drawn.
arms are detachable, but they would need two arms if you're going to grappling hook and use portals at the same time.
And you also might want to use like one like the red portal with one arm and the blue portal with the other arm, maybe.
So I
Okay,
was
both of
getting
them are
ready.
detachable.
There we go.
I was getting ready to unmute myself, and then someone knocked on my door that I had a customer.
Gotcha.
Um, I did a little bit of work on first-person hand models. Um, with the new concept art, I'll probably go back and we're only gonna have like one human arm and then another robot arm, right? Or is it two robot arms?
I think that's two.
Yeah, there's two.
Two? Yeah, okay, honestly, that's gonna be so much easier. So
Yep.
I'll go back and read. I was really blocked by not having concept and not having the art style put down yet.
That's fair.
So I didn't do anything else on the art side. And I made that little player prefs deletion tool.
Yep.
That's me.
We can look at getting you a little bit more dev work this week as we're waiting on concept art again. Or probably the next couple weeks you'll have to do some dev work, if that's okay.
For her.
Sweet. Because you typically in most larger scale projects, design is about 3 to 4 weeks ahead of development because they have to uh, iterate upon their designs.
Yeah, designing takes a while.
Yep, it does. So It looks like Shervine and Marla have work that they got to do. Machi and I do, and then I'll have to work with Austin to figure out something for him to do this next week. And then I'll reach out to the other three this week and figure out what they've been up to.
Also, whenever you when you can send pictures of like the first like blocked area, just let me know so I can start like planning the buildings.
And it's going to be a little bit of a slow process for me, just a heads up, because I haven't done a whole lot of level design. It's something that I'm somewhat new to. So I am doing a lot of research and learning on the topic, so it's going to be a little slow for me, sadly.
Yeah, no worries. There's still like a ton of other stuff to do.
Yes, ma'am. Alrighty, guys. Well, that's all I got for you. These meetings should be pretty quick, unless we have some like fundamental changes to how we're going to work with the game.
Yeah. Okay.
Is everybody comfortable with what they're doing? Any feedback?
I think that's it. So for me, just more buildings and in a suburban area.
Yeah, and
Cool.
as you model up some buildings, that might give me some like ideas for how I can place them on the street that you start on.
Would you also like me to design the garage, like the interior?
So I was thinking about that. I Okay, we start out with the garage idea. We can figure out if we even want to do the garage. But I was thinking like we could either have like a secret layer in a basement. We could have a garage. We could have like
Yeah, basement, not garage.
I mean, I'm fine
Yeah.
with whatever. We just said garage last time. We didn't really provide a reason.
Mhm.
I don't think it really matters, to be honest.
Just
Um,
like a tech area
yeah,
for
exactly, like a little
people.
lab.
Yeah. Mhm.
So yeah, if you're interested in like designing like some little components that like maybe like a robot arm for you to like work on your dog, or I don't know, like some flasks or something sitting in there.
Mhm. I have like some of like the characters like belongings up
Exactly.
around like the room and stuff.
And we'll probably make it so that I do kind of like the garage idea, so they don't walk through their house, so we don't have a bunch of little like knickknacks sitting around, 'cause that's a lot of extra work. Whereas if they're in the garage and their dog runs away, they just run out the garage door and they don't have to look inside the house.
Yeah.
And then we can do what Austin was looking at last. We can do like some interior mapping where it's you don't actually have to make any of the models. You basically just make like an image that maps to the inside of the building, which will save a lot of time.
Ooh.
Um, yeah, that's all I got, guys. I appreciate all your work this week.
Yay.
Yeah, meeting adjourned. I got food. I'm gonna go eat some mac and cheese now.
Okay. Well, thank you for
Y-
this.
yes, ma'am. If you guys have any questions throughout the week, feel free to reach out.
Okay.
Will do.
Alrighty. Have a good night, everybody.
You
Good
too.
night.
Yeah, good night.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Fabian. Good night.
Bye.
See ya.